My name is Marianne, I'm 39, and I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who had to whisper her truths into the dark like confessions. But here I am. I've been married to Daniel for 12 years. And for most of them, I believed I was happy. I told myself I was safe. Loved. That we were building something steady, the kind of life where dinner was warm, the mortgage was paid, and the silence between us was just comfort, not absence. But silence changes. You don't notice when it first shifts. It starts like a blanket, soft, familiar. Then one day it's heavy, suffocating, like you're buried under the weight of everything you're no longer saying to each other. We met when I was 27. Daniel had a 5-year-old son, Levi, from his first marriage. I loved that about him, honestly, the way he held his little boy's hand with such care, the way he talked about making up for the damage. It made him seem safe. Safe felt sexy to me back then. In those early years, Daniel used to reach for me in the kitchen when I was rinsing dishes, hands on my hips, lips on my neck, a kiss that made me forget about the clock ticking behind us. And I'd lean into him, laugh against his chest, feel a buzz in my skin just from his touch. I used to think that's what marriage was, intimacy that didn't need to shout. But now I wonder if we stopped shouting because we had nothing left to say. Last week, Daniel kissed me before work. His lips were cold, distracted. It landed on my cheek like an apology neither of us owed each other. I tilted my head, hoping for something more. He didn't notice. Just grabbed his briefcase, mumbled something about a late meeting, and was gone before I could even respond. I sat on the edge of our bed for 20 minutes after the door closed, staring at the pale blue sheets we bought together in year 3. That color used to make me feel calm. Now it just made the room feel empty. Even our cuddles have changed. He'll pull me close at night like he's clocking in. His arm slings over me, not with warmth, but with habit. Sometimes I'll shift, try to meet him halfway, and he'll murmur, tired. Just that. Nothing more. It makes me feel like a burden for wanting touch. Like I'm needy for missing the weight of his desire. I started spending more time in the guest room lately. Told him it was because of his snoring, which is true, but not the whole truth. The real reason is that I feel more like myself in that space. Like I can breathe. Like I'm not waiting for something that won't come. And that brings me to the night it happened. Or rather, the night something shifted in me, again. It wasn't dramatic. No slammed doors. No screaming. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that tells you a truth you've been avoiding. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, in the dark, crying. The kind of crying where your shoulders shake but your face is still. The kind that feels like it comes from your bones. I didn't even hear the knock, I just felt the door creak open. I thought it was Daniel. I wiped my eyes quickly, bracing for the usual awkward pause, him standing there unsure, maybe patting my back or saying, "Don't do this tonight." But it wasn't him. It was Levi. And in that moment, everything changed. Not because of what happened next. Not even because of what he did. But because of what I felt. Not as a mother. Not as a wife. Just as a woman. And suddenly, I realized how long it had been since anyone had looked at me like I was still alive. Daniel is a trauma surgeon. For 12 years, I've watched him walk into bloody chaos and somehow bring back order. That's who he is, calm under pressure, capable, always in control. But at home? That steadiness becomes something colder. Like he's conserving his emotions for the operating room. He doesn't mean to be distant. I know that. It's just, his version of love looks like action. He folds the laundry before I wake up. He refills my car without telling me. He'll press his hand to the small of my back when we walk into restaurants, like he's proud to have me by his side. But I need more than that. I need him to see me. To ask how I'm doing, and actually stay for the answer. Last night, I sat on the couch with my legs tucked under me, my favorite blanket in my lap. I waited for him to join me after dinner. It was one of those long Wednesdays, the kind where my voice felt hoarse from talking to clients all day. I'm a speech therapist. I help kids who stutter or struggle with sounds find their voices. The irony isn't lost on me. Daniel walked in with 2 glasses of wine. Merlot, he said, placing one beside me. The good one. I looked up, hoping for a moment, a pause, a connection, something. Instead, he lowered himself next to me, kissed my neck quickly, and pulled me into him. His hand was already sliding beneath my shirt when I whispered, "Can we just talk for a minute?" He froze, barely, then kissed my collarbone. "We've had a long day. Let's relax." I tried to lean back, to create space between us, but his arm held firm. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't unkind. It just felt mechanical. Like he was checking off some box labeled intimacy. "I'm not there right now," I said quietly. His eyes narrowed. "Not there?" "Marianne, it's been over a week." I felt it in my chest, that creeping guilt, that sharp edge of being the reason something is off. "I know," I said. "But I need more than just this. I feel like we don't talk anymore." "We're talking now." "No, we're not," I said. "You're trying to touch me into forgetting how lonely I feel." The silence that followed was worse than yelling. Daniel sat back, his jaw tight. He looked wounded, like I'd slapped him. "You always say I'm not emotional enough." "I'm trying, Marianne. I'm here. I'm doing things. I bring you wine, I touch you, I don't want to be done to, Daniel. I want to be with you." He stood up, took a long sip of his wine, and walked to the kitchen. Just like that. Conflict avoided. Conversation closed. I sat there for a long time, staring at the dark screen of the TV. The room felt too quiet again. And my body, the body he reached for so confidently, felt like it didn't belong to me anymore. Later that night, he came to bed, slid under the sheets without a word. He placed his hand on my waist, a silent olive branch. I didn't pull away. But I didn't move toward him either. I just laid there, pretending to sleep, while the ache in my chest pulsed like a second heartbeat. I think the hardest part is knowing he thinks he's loving me. And maybe he is, in the only way he knows how. But I'm drowning in the gap between what he offers and what I need. I used to believe that love could be translated. That if you stayed long enough, tried hard enough, you could learn each other's language. But what if some dialects are just too different? What if wanting isn't enough? It happened again this morning. I was chopping strawberries at the kitchen counter, still in my robe, my hair in a loose knot. Levi had just left for his part-time shift at the bookstore, and Daniel came up behind me like it was a normal Sunday. He slid his arms around my waist, pressed his body into mine, and whispered, "You smell like vanilla." His lips brushed the back of my ear. I froze. Not because I didn't care. But because the second his hands touched my hips, I felt myself leave my body. It's like muscle memory. I stiffen, hold my breath, smile a half smile so he won't know that I'm not there with him. Not really. He didn't notice. Or maybe he didn't want to. "You okay?" he asked as he kissed my shoulder. "I'm fine," I murmured, trying to move slightly, pretending to reach for a bowl on the other side of the counter. Daniel didn't let go. "You're beautiful," he said softly, turning me around. "You know that?" I looked up at him, at his tired, kind eyes. I wanted to feel something. A flutter. A warmth. A need. But all I felt was pressure. Like he was giving me a gift I didn't know how to unwrap. He leaned in to kiss me. And I let him. His lips were soft, slow. He smelled like soap and aftershave. Everything about it should have been comforting. But instead, I counted the seconds. 1, 2, 3. I pulled away, gently. I should finish breakfast before everything gets soggy. He looked hurt. You sure you're fine? Yeah. Just distracted, I said, turning back to the cutting board. He gave my butt a playful slap. You've been distracted for a while now. I didn't laugh. I didn't say anything. I just flinched, not visibly, I think, but inside, something recoiled. He walked away with a huff, muttering, "Let me know when you're not too busy to be my wife." I stood there staring at the sliced fruit, suddenly nauseated. It's not that I don't want him. That I've stopped loving him. It's more confusing than that. It's like my body is still wired for affection, but the spark has gone dull. Like the gestures that once felt playful now feel like interruptions. Like expectations I can't meet. We don't talk about it. Not directly. We talk around it. He touches, I deflect. He pouts, I feel guilty. Rinse, repeat. It's exhausting. I overthink everything now. Every kiss feels like the beginning of an equation I don't know how to solve. If I kiss back too eagerly, it's an invitation. If I'm too distant, I'm cold. And somewhere in the middle is the version of me I used to be, warm, open, touch-hungry. Where did she go? Maybe she got tired of being touched before she was spoken to. Maybe she's still here, buried under years of being needed physically but not seen emotionally. I took the strawberries to the table, sat down, and stared at my untouched plate. And in my mind, the question surfaced again, sharp and unforgiving: why does everything have to turn into sex? It happened on a Thursday. Daniel had surprised me by coming home early, something he rarely did, unless Levi was sick or the hospital had lost power. He walked through the door with 2 paper bags from our favorite Thai place. "Coconut curry and spring rolls," he said with a smile. "Figured we could use a night in." I blinked at him from the couch, where I was curled up under a throw blanket, watching a nature documentary just to have sound in the room. "Okay," I said, not sure how to receive the gesture. He sat down beside me, started unpacking the food, making small talk about a patient with a nail gun injury. I nodded, smiling at the right moments, though my thoughts were miles away. As we ate, he reached for my hand across the coffee table. "You've been quiet lately." I didn't look up. "I've had a lot on my mind." He rubbed my knuckles. "I know we've been off. I thought tonight might help." I wanted it to help. I really did. But something inside me was already unraveling. "I'm trying, Marianne," he said. "But I need you to meet me halfway." That did it. I put my fork down, a little too hard. "Halfway? Daniel, I feel like I've been running toward you for months and you keep backing away." His brow furrowed. "What are you talking about?" "I touch you, I kiss you, I try." "Exactly." I snapped. "You touch me. But you don't see me. You don't ask me what I'm thinking, how I'm doing, what I'm afraid of. You just touch me and hope I'll melt into it." His jaw clenched. "So now touching you is a crime?" "That's not what I said, you just make it impossible, Marianne. Everything I do, you twist into a problem." "No, Daniel. You make me feel like a body, not a person. And I'm tired of pretending that's enough for me." His face went hard. "Wow." And just like that, the air thickened. The silence after a detonation. I felt it happening before I could stop it, the tears gathering behind my eyes, the heat rising to my cheeks, the ache bursting out of my chest. "I cry in secret now," I said, my voice shaking. "Because I know if I cry in front of you, you'll try to kiss it away." Like you're embarrassed by the mess instead of curious about the pain. Daniel stood up abruptly, pacing. So what do you want from me? A therapy session every night? A script for how to be your husband? I want to feel like I matter beyond your convenience. He turned to face me, hands on his hips, his voice low. Then maybe you should figure out what you want, because all I ever do is guess. And then he left. Not the house, just the room. He shut the bedroom door with more force than necessary, and I flinched at the sound. I sat there, surrounded by cooling curry and half-drunk wine, feeling like a balloon that had finally popped. Everything I'd held inside for months, the sadness, the resentment, the confusion, all of it had poured out in one ugly, uneven wave. And what did it get me? An empty living room. I curled up tighter on the couch and stared at the window, tears slipping down my face. They weren't loud sobs, just quiet, persistent proof that something in me had split open. And of course, Levi walked in right then. He had headphones around his neck, a backpack slung over one shoulder. He saw my face and immediately froze. "Are you okay?" he asked. I wiped my cheek quickly. "Just a bad day." He came closer. Sat on the edge of the armchair across from me. "You look like you could use a hug." I smiled, broken and small. "I think I'd shatter." He didn't answer. He just leaned forward, touched my hand gently, and looked at me, really looked at me, like he wasn't afraid of the pain. And for a second, I felt something shift again. And I hated that it felt like comfort. It's been 12 days since that night. The curry containers stayed in the fridge until they soured. We never talked about the fight. We just fell into a kind of truce made of distance. Daniel hasn't touched me since. No late night reaches. No hand on the small of my back when we pass in the hallway. No tired, habitual kiss on the forehead before bed. Just silence. He still wakes up at 5:30, still shaves, still puts on that gray scrub top and laces his shoes like a soldier going off to war. He still leaves coffee for me in the mug with the little chip on the rim, the one he knows I prefer. He still texts me if it rains, "Drive safe. Roads are slick." But something between us has gone quiet in a new, more permanent way. And the thing that scares me most? I miss him. I miss the version of us that laughed over burnt pancakes. I miss the way he used to play with my hair when I sat at the foot of our bed, cross-legged and venting about my day. I miss the way he used to listen, or at least pretend to, without checking his phone. But when I walk past him now, I feel like I'm interrupting something I don't understand. I catch him staring into space sometimes, sitting on the edge of the bed, shoulders curved inward like he's folding in on himself. There's sadness in his posture now. A defeat I don't remember seeing before. This morning, I stood in the doorway while he tied his shoes. I wanted to say something. Anything. Just, "Hi." Or "Are you okay?" But the words felt foreign on my tongue, like I'd lost the right to speak them. I think I hurt him. I think I humiliated him, maybe. Or made him feel like he wasn't enough. And God, that wasn't what I meant. I just wanted to be seen. Heard. Touched in a way that felt mutual. But I can see now how what I said landed. How it stripped him down. He's not the villain. He's just a man who loves in ways I forgot how to recognize. And I'm a woman who aches in ways I never learned how to articulate until it was too late. We're both grieving something we haven't buried yet. Last night, I walked past the bedroom and heard him talking to Levi in that low, dad voice he saves for important things. He was telling him how proud he was about his job, how responsible he's become. I stood there, just out of sight, and felt something twist in my chest. He's still the same man. Just worn down. Like me. I laid in bed later, staring at the ceiling, fingers gripping the edge of my pillow, wondering if I should just crawl into his arms and whisper "I'm sorry" against his chest. Wondering if we could still untangle this knot between us. But I didn't move. And neither did he. We're like two statues in the same room, facing opposite corners, pretending we don't miss the warmth we used to share. And maybe that's the most painful part, knowing we still love each other, but neither of us knows how to get back. So now I'm standing here in the hallway, fingers hovering over the doorknob to our room. He's inside, reading. Or pretending to. I can hear the sound of pages turning, too slow to be real. And I ask myself the question I've been asking for days: do I try again? Or do I finally walk away? I stood at the door to our bedroom for almost a full minute before knocking. Not because I had something big to say, I didn't. Not because I knew what I wanted, I didn't. I just couldn't bear the silence anymore. Daniel looked up from his book when I opened the door. He didn't say anything, but his eyes met mine, steady and tired. "Do you have a minute?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He nodded and set the book aside. I sat at the edge of the bed, hands folded in my lap like a child waiting to be disciplined. I hated how small I felt. How far away he seemed even with just 2 feet between us. "I miss you," I said quietly. He didn't look away. "I miss us too." We sat in that stillness, breathing the same air but living in different emotional houses. I wanted to reach out. I wanted him to reach back. But it was like we'd both forgotten how. "I'm sorry for what I said," I whispered. "I didn't mean to make you feel like you weren't enough. I was just drowning." Daniel sighed. "I know. And I'm sorry for making you feel alone. I guess I thought touching you meant I was close. I didn't realize how far I'd drifted. The honesty should have made me feel lighter. It didn't. It just confirmed what I already feared, that he had drifted. That we both had." I reached for his hand. He took it, gently. His thumb brushed over my knuckles the way it used to. Familiar. Warm. But something about it felt ceremonial, like a memory being replayed instead of a new beginning. "I don't know how to fix this," I said, tears threatening again. "I don't know if we can." He looked down. "Me neither." That broke something in me. Not because it was cruel, but because it was honest. Daniel leaned forward and pressed a kiss to my forehead. Slow, deliberate. Like he was saying goodbye without words. And then he stood. Pulled the blanket from the foot of the bed and walked to the living room. "I'll let you sleep," he said softly. "You need rest." I watched him go. Heard the soft sound of him settling onto the couch, the blanket rustling, the lamp clicking off. That small act, sleeping elsewhere so I could have space, felt more intimate than any touch in months. It hurt in the most tender way. He still loves me. I still love him. But maybe love isn't always enough. I don't know if anyone ever teaches you how to mourn a relationship that hasn't ended, not really, but has quietly unraveled in the background of your life. Daniel still lives here. We still share groceries, laundry loads, morning coffee. But now, we pass each other like gentle ghosts. Polite. Careful. Almost kind. We ask each other if the dog's been fed. If Levi's coming home for dinner. If the water bill got paid. What we don't ask is, "Are you okay? Or do you still think of me the way you used to?" I used to believe that emotional intimacy came with time. That the longer you stayed with someone, the deeper it grew, like roots. But I've learned that love, without tending, can start to hollow from the inside. Quietly. Painfully. You can be in the same room, under the same roof, and still feel like you're reaching through fog for a hand that used to reach back. I blamed Daniel for a long time. For touching me without asking what I needed. For kissing me when all I wanted was to be held. But I've started to see it differently now. He was loving me in the only language he knew. I just stopped translating. And maybe that's the tragedy, not that we stopped loving each other, but that we didn't evolve. That we clung to our own fears instead of learning how to meet in the middle. I used to think needing something more meant I was broken. That wanting emotional connection before sex made me cold or distant or difficult. But now I know, it makes me human. My body isn't a switch to be flipped. It's a conversation. It needs time. Trust. Presence. There's something deeply lonely about being desired but not understood. Like your body's in the room, but your soul was left outside. The night Daniel kissed my forehead and walked to the couch, something clicked for me. That maybe love doesn't always end in flames. Sometimes it ends in silence. In distance. In a slow fading of color. And then there's Levi. I never expected him to be part of this. I never saw him coming, not in that way. That night he found me crying. He didn't do anything inappropriate. He didn't cross a line. He just saw me. With this calm, disarming presence. He looked at me like I wasn't invisible. Like I wasn't too much or not enough, just there, hurting, and real. And when he wiped my tears with his lips, gently, with the hesitation of someone who knew the moment wasn't his to take, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not arousal. Not guilt. Just, witnessed. And that terrified me. Because it made me realize how long I've been starving for tenderness that didn't carry obligation. For touch that wasn't transactional. For someone who could sit in the storm with me without trying to fix the rain. Nothing happened between us after that. And nothing ever will. But the truth is, I carry that moment in my chest like a shard. Not because it was wrong, but because it reminded me of the woman I used to be. The one who needed to feel seen before she could feel safe. And maybe that's the haunting part. That the ache we carry doesn't always come from betrayal or cruelty, but from absence. From years of being almost known. So here I am. Sitting in the quiet again. I don't know if Daniel and I will find our way back. Or if we're simply roommates now, honoring a love we both remember but no longer recognize. What I do know is this: you can stay in a marriage and still leave yourself behind. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do isn't walking away from someone else. It's walking back toward the version of you that you abandoned, and asking her to come home.